Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Anna Crossland. Today we are reviewing the new Morphe x Jeffree Star palette. I was so excited and shocked when they came out with this palette because as we know, Jeffree Star has his own cosmetics company, so he could literally create any palette that he could ever dream up. So I feel like for him to collab with Morphe, he obviously really loves these people enough to create a palette with them. He also came out with some new brushes, which I didn't pick up. It does look like a great bundle of brushes that would get used by me. I would definitely love to have it, but I knew that the palette is what everyone would want to hear about. And then I also got the set and refresh mist as well. So if you guys want to see how these products work, just keep watching. This palette retails for $35, which for something that's Jeffree Star approved, we know isn't that badly priced. His palettes, I think the lowest I've ever seen them on sale is like around $35, so it's a really good deal price wise. I'm going to show you guys this palette up close and some swatches right now. Everything swatched so amazing and so pigmented. The weirdest thing I can say is that when I got too much product on my finger, some of it would just like plop off, and I think it's because they are a pressed pigment, so you just have to keep that in mind, that using a stickier base to really get the pigment enhanced is what works best. The glitter amazed me. It honestly is one of the best pressed glitters I think I have ever used. You can even use it with a brush. I honestly am in love with this color story. There's some really beautiful colors. It works for all year round as well. You can obviously go super dramatic or do something that is definitely way lighter. To start this look off, we're going to be taking our ColourPop No Filter Concealer in 00. Still testing out the best base to use for these shadows. A lot of them are like intense pressed pigments, and sometimes with those types it just depends. If you're using it all over the lid, you do want a tacky base, but sometimes to blend them out you almost need more of a slippery base, but then to get the pigment you need the tacky base. So it kind of can be a little bit harder to figure out which shadows work best with tackier versus a nice and powdered smooth area with this palette. I feel like you have to test shadows sometimes multiple ways. So using it yesterday, I found out that in the crease it does need a more powdered base, so I'm going to use a lighter color shadow to kind of help us blend out those shades. And we're going to start off with Lynn. And we're going to take that from basically the brow bone down. And not to really necessarily add color, it is deepening the shade that we just put on because that was like pure white. But not by too much. And I do put it a little bit lower too, because usually when I do my crease shade I tend to go almost into my my lid space because I do have smaller lids. So I think first we're going to go into back. It's kind of just very light pink shade. And these shadows are very powdery. deeper skin tones, some of these shades, like lighter shades, there's quite a bit of light transition shades, so just keep that in mind. And I have seen complaints of people who do have deeper skin tones complain that those shades tend to show up more ashy on them, which makes perfect sense. So if you do have a deeper skin tone, you might not be a fan of these lighter shades. So it's actually working much better packing on the color than just going back and forth. I feel like it blends it out almost too much when you go back and forth. So it's almost like I need to pack the shade on, which is fine because it is so light, even though we are using it for more of a transition shade. Okay, now we're gonna go into Self-Made, which is this hot pink eyeshadow right here. Hold on. That one. I mean, you can't miss it. It's pretty much neon, a neon pink type shade. And I'm actually trying it on a blending brush, and we'll see. I think I'm going to try and pack it on more than do blending motions. And then we'll try blending motions. So as you can see, like, this is kind of how I want the shade for this look right now. I don't want it super pow intense. So the way I'm applying it with this brush right now is working just fine for how I want it. But see, like, if I dab it, it's pretty pigmented. I think we're gonna stop there. I'm literally just blending it out at this point. Underneath, I'm gonna go into Self-Made. I have found that actually, like, when pigments are slippery like this too, it works best to wet your brush even for mattes for under the eye, because since you're not really blending out as much under your eye as you are in the crease, I actually really like to use the mattes wet under the eye. It's just something new I do, and I just use the Starberry to wet my brush. It smells pretty good. It does like how, oh, I just inhaled that. I just super, see that? It almost ends up working like eyeliner-y, so I really enjoy using it under the lash line. What? Just a pro tip there, guys, from a non-pro. So here's where I think it's gonna all get scary, because I really want to go for black smoky eye, and I think it's gonna get scary, not because of the eyeshadow's fault, but because of my personal fault. Yeah, I haven't added concealer or anything because I'm gonna wait till I'm finished with this look too. So I'm gonna dip into Vroom Vroom, which is this matte gray color, and I'm gonna take just like such a small amount, put it in there. Like, I don't want this too heavy or too pigmented right now because I obviously want it to blend, and I'm using this to blend the black into the pink, and so that we don't have to blend the black all over the lid as much, hopefully, and hopefully we can just focus on making it pigmented all over the lid, and this will be our kind of blending into the pink shade. That's what I hope, at least. I'll probably end up looking like a raccoon. I'm gonna go into Fast Lane, which is this matte black shade. I haven't used it yet, so we'll see how it works. Pretty perfectly. I mean, especially on top of that base. Obviously a black base would be better than using a white base, but I feel like just using any base at all to help it kind of stick to is just super helpful. I feel like for everyday looks, you really don't have to be this like intense about how you strategically use it. I don't think I have any black fallout on my face, and I'm not tapping the brush off. So that is good news. Now underneath the eye, we're going to take some black just to the here. I think we're going to go into the glitter. So this is called Millions, and I will say I'm very impressed with the formula of the glitter. It had like no fallout for me, and I even could apply it with a brush, which is pretty rare for pressed glitters that I have tried in the past. So I was really impressed with that. So So we're going to take millions. I'm just going to use my finger because I'm kind of worried that if I do use a brush, I don't want to bring up too much of that black. This glitter, yeah, I just think it's really pretty. It's a really pretty shade that will go with pretty much anything in this palette, but it just sticks so easily. And after I did swatches, I had a heck of a time getting it off of my arm. Like, I scrubbed everything and everything else came up but the glitter. Okay, so I'm kind of trying to stick more to the inner third and then kind of like just let it, whatever I have excess on there, to help blend it into the rest of the black. So I'm going to clean up my eye, add falsies and all that. So I added some false eyelashes and I think it turned out really cool. It almost reminds me of his MySpace days when Jeffree Star first kind of really became popular, when he was very, very into pink and gothic look. This is a very intense, dramatic look, as you can see. I do think that the black would have worked way better with a black base, as we all pretty much know by now that that's how blacks work best. I just didn't have one. I also think it would have been better if I kept the white base just all through here, because it is starting to fade on the sides. So I think I should have really based it up even more all the way up to the gray, because it is a little bit patchy. But I feel like a lot of people don't really do like black dramatic like this very much anymore. So I feel like black's not really gonna get used for all over the lid. The price point is so good, and the palette is so pretty, but I feel like there are shades that you do have to work a little bit differently with, that maybe someone who's more experienced would be able to pull off versus someone who's not as experienced wouldn't be able to pull off. I saw so many videos and it made me so nervous to get this palette. I thought I was gonna hate it. I saw these girls who I've seen do beautiful looks before, and all of a sudden, like, it's just like becoming a huge disaster, like shadow falling everywhere, nothing blending right. And that's why I don't think, like, if those girls who are really experienced with makeup are having such a difficult time, that someone who is just starting off, I think that this would really make you mad. Except for maybe the glitter, because honestly it's like one of the best pressed glitters I have ever seen. So keep that in mind. Maybe not so beginner friendly, but if you really know how to work with your shadows, especially pressed pigment shadows, then I would highly recommend this. Again, I love the color story of this. I think it will definitely get used a lot. I think Jeffree Star said that these are the same quality as his shadows, and honestly I can't really tell you if that's the case. I only own 2 Jeffree Star palettes, but maybe in the future, if you want to see me try and kind of do one eye this Artistry palette and the other eye the Jawbreaker palette, to see how they perform side by side, we could definitely do that. So let me know in the comments down below if that's something that you're interested in seeing, to know if the quality really does live up to the Jawbreaker. I think it'd be interesting to find out, because I couldn't really tell much of a difference. I do think that some of his, I feel like some of his shimmers though are a little bit more crumbly on his side, not in a bad way, just they're so soft, and these ones are a little bit more hard pressed, but they still worked great. I always wet my brush when I use shimmers, so it doesn't really bother me. It always intensifies every shimmer. The one I used in my inner corner today is bright and popping. Like, I didn't have to do anything to it. I didn't use it wet, and it's just so beautiful and bright. I would recommend this if you're looking for a very light spray, one that doesn't come out too much at a time. I know a lot of the drugstore ones sometimes come out in like big droplets, and this is super duper fine, almost like I feel like I have to like put a ton on. And I do enjoy the scent, so I mean, this is something that I maybe would repurchase in the end. But yeah, I do like it, so I think it's worth trying out if you've never tried their setting spray before. I think it's worth a try, and if you're interested in the strawberry scent, and or if you just want to support Jeffree Star or whatever. Let me know if you picked up this palette and what your thoughts are on this palette as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you thought that this review was helpful, then please click that like button and don't forget to subscribe for more videos. And I'll talk to you guys later.